Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, US military announces completion of new wave of strikes, while Iran claims to target US bases in Bahrain and Kuwait. India confirms 3 Indian sailors killed in an attack by the United States on a vessel off the coast of Oman. Ministry of External Affairs summons US envoy to India. Prime Minister Modi chairs the 11th Governing Council meeting of the NITI Aayog on inclusive development. Chief Ministers of states, UTs and other administrators to attend. FIFA World Cup 2026 is set to begin tonight, marking the start of a mega edition of football's biggest tournament. Well, going straight into the West Asia crisis, news just coming in. A Qatari delegation departed from Tehran this morning following talks with Iranian officials that lasted into early hours of this morning. The discussions were conducted in coordination with the United States. Jordan's military has said that it had intercepted 20 missiles launched from Iran after Tehran's Revolutionary Guard announced that they had fired at the US command center in the Jordanian kingdom. So it is an evolving situation. Qatar, which is mediating between the United States and Iran, their delegation went into Iran yesterday. Our discussions lasted all night. They went into early morning, and the Qatari delegation has just left Tehran. That's the breaking news that's coming in at this moment. We don't know what the details of the talks yet, what transpired in those talks, but Qatar has been trying to mediate to diffuse the situation, and the talks went on all night, finished at the wee hours this morning, and the Qatari delegation has now left Tehran. Meanwhile, Iran continues to fire, strike US bases. They attacked the US command center or the US base in Jordan. So Jordan has intercepted those missiles. A maritime emergency is unfolding near the port of Shinas in northern Oman after a commercial tanker caught fire in what is now the third incident involving Indian crude vessels in Omani waterways within 72 hours. The Indian Embassy in Muscat has confirmed that it has learnt of an incident involving a vessel off the coast of Oman and is closely monitoring the situation. The Indian Embassy is in close contact with the local authorities. The vessel is identified as by maritime reports as MT Jalweer, a Guinea-Bissau flag tanker with around 20 Indian crew members believed to be on board. Emergency coordination efforts by Omani authorities are underway, though the cause of fire has not yet been independently confirmed. 3 Indian seafarers initially reported missing have died. Actually, they were killed after a vessel was attacked by US forces off the coast of Oman earlier this week. India's shipping minister Sarbanand Sonowal, in a post on X, called it a tragic loss. The minister said that the bodies of all the 3 soldiers have been recovered. The Palau flagged oil tanker The Setebello had a total crew of 28 members, including 24 Indian nationals and 4 foreign nationals, which include 2 Pakistanis, 1 Ukrainian and 1 Russian when it came under U.S. military attack in the Gulf of Oman. And India summoned a U.S. diplomat over the strike on the oil tanker, a tanker off the coast of Oman, after India's Ministry of External Affairs condemned the attack on the commercial vessel Setebello off the coast of Oman. The Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that out of the 24 Indian crew on board, 24 Indians have been rescued so far. Indian Embassy in Oman is closely monitoring the situation and proactively coordinating with the Omani authorities in the ongoing search and rescue operation. The continuing incidents of attacks on shipping in the region are deeply worrisome and a direct result of the ongoing conflict in the region. This is what the MEA says. India reiterates the call for immediate de-escalation of tensions and the conclusion of ongoing negotiations for a diplomatic solution so that peace and stability can return to the region. Meanwhile, India expressed its deep concern at the conflict in Iran and the Gulf region and urged all sides to exercise restraint, avoid escalation and prioritize the safety of civilians. Delivering a statement at the UN Security Council open debate on advancing political solutions in the Middle East through mediation and dialogue for lasting peace, the Indian envoy to UN, P. Harish, reiterated the country's stand for a peaceful resolution.
India strongly reiterated its call for dialogue and diplomacy, avoiding impeding freedom of navigation and commerce, avoiding military targeting of commercial shipping, avoiding targeting of civilian population and infrastructure, and seeking an early end to the conflict. India expressed its support to all efforts aimed at peaceful resolution of issues.
Given his remarks on the growing West Asia conflict, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reaffirmed that the only solution to global conflicts lies in dialogue and diplomacy.
His life was passing through an exceptionally volatile and uncertain phase. This includes multiple major conflicts, concerns about economic security, recent experience of the pandemic, and futuristic trend of measures. India has a clear position in respect forward. We believe that this is not an era of war. The only solution to conflicts is dialogue and diplomacy. Where economic risks are concerned, the answer is in supply chain resilience and in further diversification. It is particularly important that maritime trade is neither immediate or endangered.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on a Bulgaria visit, met the country's Foreign Minister Velis Ayava Petrova Chamova and noted that both sides reviewed the full spectrum of India-Bulgaria relations and explored new avenues for cooperation, particularly in the context of India-EU FTA negotiations conclusion. The strategic and defense partnership and the comprehensive mobility cooperation framework. Emphasizing the shared commitment to elevate bilateral ties, he said that India and Bulgaria are committed to transforming the long-standing friendship into a contemporary and forward-looking partnership. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar held high-level talks with Bulgarian Prime Minister Rumen Radev. The talks focus on expanding bilateral cooperation across a wide range of sectors and strengthening India's engagement with Bulgaria and the European Union. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar said that he had a productive interaction with notable Bulgarian friends during his visit to Sofia. The interaction focused on ways to further strengthen bilateral cooperation across multiple sectors. The minister will now visit Finland on June 11th, where he will participate in the 14th edition of the Taranta talks. And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant loses all external power for the 19th time, despite ceasefire for repairs. Canada moves to ban usage of social media for children under 16 with limited exemptions.
Across India, human-animal encounters have now become more frequent than ever. So maybe the wild isn't as far as we think.
The Brown Bear project was launched here in 2023. Its goal is to create harmony between bears and humans.
These are the musk roses. This ancient flower is emerging as a valuable crop in Uttarakhand. Rosewater offers farmers here a high-value alternative.
And here, 1 ton of biochar, which is obtained from around 8 trees. In the international carbon credit market, this can earn upwards of $300 for each ton of biochar.
The Tamil Nadu Tribal Welfare Department teamed up with the Indian Institute of Horticultural Research. Farmers receive free seeds, fertilizers and machinery, along with training in crop management.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Well, to talk more about the evolving situation in West Asia, we have with us former Ambassador R. Swaminathan. He's former Secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs. Thank you, Ambassador Swaminathan, for joining us. With this fresh spate of attacks and maximalist positions taken by both sides, that's the United States and Iran, the situation has once again tailspinned, hasn't it?
Thank you, Amrit, for inviting me. Namaskar. You are very right that it has really become a serious issue for the past 2 days. If you remember, 28th of February, the war started. 40 days the war was on, and on 8th of April, there was a ceasefire announced by President Trump, which was extended indefinitely by 2 more weeks. And in fact, there have been ceasefire violations on the 19th of April, if you remember right, and maybe around 9th of May, as well as 25th of May. The first 2 were not very major. The third was somewhat serious when I think US had accused Iran of mining the Hormuz, and then they attacked the southern Iran. So that in return, Iran had attacked Kuwait and Bahrain at that point of time, but then it stopped thereafter. But then the major problem is, there have been 2 big ceasefire violations which happened. One is what you're referring to now, and the other one that happened between Israel and Iran. That started actually on the 100th day of the war, on the 7th of June, last Sunday. And if you may recall that Israel attacked South Beirut, and Iran had clearly said that it's going to stop the negotiating process, and also retaliated against northern Israel. And of course, President Trump prevailed on Prime Minister Netanyahu to stop it, but then it continued the next day also. Once again, President Trump intervened and then stopped it. So as of now, that front seems to be somewhat all right. And as far as the recent one is concerned, as you know, it all started with downing of an Apache helicopter that was on the 8th of June. You see, this is the first time that I think an Apache helicopter has been downed by a drone. And also what Iran said was that they said that it is kind of characterized it as some kind of an accident, because it is a war zone where so many military assets are moving, and because of that it had happened. But then, having said that, I suppose it was important for US having Iran downed chopper, they had to retaliate, and there was a first wave of strikes. Then Iran immediately retaliated on Kuwait and Bahrain. Second wave of strikes, again Iran has now, I think, retaliated yesterday on Jordan. And additionally, what Iran had said was that they officially announced that they are going to completely stop the maritime passage through Hormuz. So you can say that it is a very serious kind of a thing which has happened recently. But having said that, as our EAM Jaishankar and our Prime Minister have always been saying, that the only way to go ahead
is dialogue and diplomacy. But Ambassador, what are both sides trying to achieve? Why would the Iranians attack the US helicopter when a ceasefire was in place, when negotiations were happening? That question can be, asked from the US and Israel as well. And why were the Israelis attacking? Were they not listening to the Americans?
As far as, if you really see the objectives of Israel and US are different as far as this war is concerned. And at the very beginning, probably they converged, but then they diverged over a period of time. In fact, at this point of time, if you see, as far as Israel is concerned, it was to completely disarm Hezbollah, decimate Hezbollah. As far as Lebanon is concerned, it's very important to them because it's next door neighbor. And as far as Iran is concerned, it is far away. But then, as you know, it has been for Prime Minister Netanyahu particularly, it has been important for him to change the regime in Iran. And there are reasons, I suppose, he has for that, because Iran has always said death to Israel, death to US. So all these things have been going on for a long time. But as far as President Trump is concerned, at this point of time, they would like to minimize the whatever has damages that have happened and then get out of the situation. Let's remember that, in the impact of the war, has been the economic impact is not only India region, everywhere, it is in the US as well. The gas prices have gone up considerably. There is inflation has gone up, and there is a midterm elections coming up, and there is going to be 250th year of celebrations on the 4th of July. So President Trump is not going to be saddled with this thing. So for him, it's very important to have the de-escalation and have a negotiating process. To that extent, if you really see that US has given some concessions, I would say, that they've agreed to Iran's original insistence, or rather I would say request or insistence, as you may call it, saying that it has to be a two-phased approach. The first phase has to discuss about the war, meaning the war has to end. Then we will talk about the nuclear discussion. So this is what I think the US has agreed. In turn, I think Iran also has said that originally they said unless the war is completely stopped, they will not get into the negotiation. But then now they are wanting to get into that phase with a ceasefire. So there has been consideration from both sides, because it's important for both sides to de-escalate and get into the diplomatic negotiation, because this war is not going to help either party, as I mentioned. In US,
but the negotiations, Ambassador, aren't reaching anywhere either.
You see, it is not an easy discussion. We should remember that. It has been going on for the last 47 years. And so it is not going to be easy at all. And again, the lack of trust between the two parties is so immense. It's very, very difficult to bridge. But having said that, there will be some via media which is happening that, the first phase is when Iran completely allows free passage through Hormuz. In return, what US would do is that it will lift the US blockade on Iran. Additionally, what Iran has been demanding is that it wants some relief in terms of the frozen assets in Qatar, which is about $12 billion. They want at least half of it to be released. But then there is a problem for the US administration, because if you go back during the Obama administration, when the JCPOA was done in 2015, what had happened at that point of time was that there was a certain monies that were released to Iran by US. It has been severely criticized by the US, the Republican administration, the Republicans at that point of time. And therefore, for them to give money to Iran at this point of time is an untenable situation. And what they are doing is instead, I believe, there were discussions in Qatar 2 weeks ago, and yesterday there was a Qatari delegation also in Tehran. So instead of releasing the money as out, we called the line of credit. So there are innovative ways of doing it. The long and short is that both sides would like to have some kind of a way out, but will it lead to a long-term thing? That's again questionable.
Okay. Ambassador Swaminathan, Pete Hegseth has said that Iran should be prepared for a third night of attacks. Could it escalate further? And also, can the Trump administration actually carry this on? Because the Congress had said, well, you need our approval to go into war. And then they said, well, we're not into war, we've paused it. So, all right. I'm told that I've lost that video link with Ambassador Swaminathan, but my team is trying to get him back online. The situation really in West Asia right now seems to be escalating. Both sides are taking maximalist position. Iran is hitting back. The Americans are also attacking ships. It could be worrisome for India because one of the one of the vessels had 28 crew members, of which 24 were Indians. 3 have been confirmed killed. Another tanker on which Indians are there, though they are not Indian flagged vessels, but they've been attacked. I'm told that Ambassador Swaminathan is back with us. Ambassador, I was asking you, can Trump carry this on? Because the Congress had said, Pete Hegseth, has just made a statement saying, while Iran should be prepared for a third night of attacks. Can Trump carry this on? Because if you remember, when the ceasefire had happened in April, the Congress had said, well, you need our approval for this. He said, we're not into war. There is a ceasefire in place. So can he carry this on?
Even as you remember, a subsequent development, there was also a resolution which was adopted in the US Congress saying that, it needs congressional. But then, even when I don't think it went through Senate, but even if it goes through Senate, I think President Trump can veto it. So I do not think that that is going to be a constraint at all.
Okay.
And for President Trump, it's important to make sure that Iran has a nuclear weapon. That is what he has been saying. And of course, equally important and probably immediately important is to open Hormuz. And as I mentioned earlier, there are other issues as far as US is concerned. As that US, this is not this is very, very important to do it. But having said that, there are other domestic issues in US in terms of not only the global economy getting impacted, but in terms of the price of gas increasing in US and the inflation increasing in US with the midterm elections, with the 250th anniversary celebrations and other things. It will be important for US to de-escalate, to negotiate. That is the main reason why even the negotiation process started on the 8th of April. And the reasons why it started at that point of time are valid even today. And of course, these things, I suppose, in a war kind of a situation happens. As I was mentioning, Iran says it happened by accident, but then this has now led to a cascading things. But then hopefully it will be de-escalated, as I said. That is the only path, even for both the countries. You cannot go continuously like this.
Okay. So should we as a country be concerned, given that the Ministry of External Affairs has summoned the US envoy? The American INT or their intelligence would have known that on a vessel which was not Indian flagged, probably a part of the shadow fleet of Iran, a sanctioned vessel, all that, they had to attack that. But out of the 28 crew members, there were 24 Indians on it. 3 were killed. The Americans would have well known that, and they didn't care to consult the Indians on that.
See, it's what happened is tragic, and as very rightly MEA did, it was condemned, and also the US CDA was called in and to express our diplomatic protest. All these things have happened. But then having said that, I do not know whether we can subscribe to the thing that US did it intentionally. You see,
let us assume the US, Ambassador, let's assume the US didn't do it intentionally. They targeted a sanctioned vessel. But their INT would have known out of the 28 crew members, 24 were Indians. They could have consulted the Indians and said, we are going to do this, either evacuate your crew members, or something could have been figured out rather than just going in and attacking a vessel which is not Indian, a vessel which is sanctioned, a vessel which the Americans have legitimate reasons to attack, but the crew is predominantly Indian.
You're right there. I think it shouldn't have happened at all, or this process should have happened, and at the best they could have kind of detained the ship and probably boarded and did whatever, rather than attacking it. I mean, it was a very wrong thing to have been done. But I would imagine with the diplomatic protest that we have given and the condemnation that we have issued, that it will not be repeated.
All right. We'll have to leave it there. Ambassador R. Swaminathan, thank you very much for joining us on the show and lending us your insights. Thank you very much. And Moving on to other news, in a recent development in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, a Russian strike on an apartment building in the southeastern city of Pavlograd on Wednesday injured 12 people. Regional Governor Hansa said that the strike triggered a fire, and photos posted online showed rescuers using extension ladders to help residents at the higher levels of the 5-story building, billowing smoke. Meanwhile, following an overnight attack on an electrical substation, the International Atomic Energy Agency said that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southeastern Ukraine lost all off-site power. This outage was the 19th since the start of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Canada has unveiled sweeping new digital safety legislation aimed at protecting children online and increasing oversight of artificial intelligence services. The proposed Digital Safety Act would prohibit children under the age of 16 from holding social media accounts and require AI chatbot providers to take measures to limit harmful content. The move places Canada among a growing number of countries tightening regulations on digital platforms amid concerns over online safety and the impact of emerging technologies. And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government completes 12 years, India's journey into science and technology has emerged as one of the defining achievements. A special report after the break. And yoga for healthy aging is the theme for the International Day of Yoga on 2026. A special report after the break on how yoga is helping millions stay healthier, happier and more active.
Across India, human-animal encounters have now become more.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, has congratulated Prime Minister Modi on becoming India's longest-serving Prime Minister continuously. In a post on social media platform X, Sheikh Mohammed wished Prime Minister Modi continued success in driving India's ongoing progress. He also added that the UAE looks forward to further strengthening comprehensive strategic partnership between the two nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the 11th Governing Council meeting of NITI Aayog in the national capital today, in line with Prime Minister's vision of Team India for a Viksit Bharat. This year's theme, Inclusive Human Development for Viksit Bharat at 2047, focuses on the well-being and development of every Indian regardless of age, region, gender or socio-economic background. This Governing Council meeting brings together Chief Ministers and Lieutenant Governors to discuss inclusive human development framework anchored around 4 core pillars. That's foundational human capital and future-ready skills, productive employment, entrepreneurship and decentralized growth, health and nutrition and well-being, and equity and dignity for all. And Prime Minister Modi has become the country's longest continuously serving elected Premier, marking 12 years at the helm of central government. A journey dedicated to trust, development and public welfare. Watch this report. And as Prime Minister Modi's government completes 12 years, India's journey into science and technology has emerged as one of the defining achievements. From successful space missions to building indigenous AI models, the country has made significant strides towards technological self-reliance. Our next report looks at how these initiatives are shaping India's emergence as a global power in science and technology.
India, which once depended on the technologies of the world, is today creating the technologies of the future itself. Over the last 12 years, India has taken a remarkable leap in the fields of science and technology that has surprised the world. A country that once depended on other nations for space technology and chip manufacturing has now become the first nation to reach the moon's south pole, is preparing its own human spaceflight mission, and is moving ahead towards becoming a global power in artificial intelligence and semiconductors. Several major scientific initiatives launched under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi have helped India move from being a technology consumer to becoming a technology creator. So let us take you on an exciting journey through science and technology and show you the major achievements India has accomplished over the last 12 years.
आप सभी साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी की दुनिया से जुड़े लोग इन सवालों से भी आगे जाकर नई संभावनाएं खोजेंगे। अगर आपके पास आइडियाज है तो मैं आपके साथ हूं। हमारी सरकार रिसर्च को फंड और साइंटिस्ट को अपॉर्चुनिटी देने के लिए ही पूरी तरह प्रतिबद्ध है।
Among India's greatest scientific achievements, the Chandrayaan and Gaganyaan missions of ISRO stand at the top. Chandrayaan-3 created history by landing near the moon's south pole. Vikram lander and Pragyan rover carried out important scientific experiments on the lunar surface. The Chandrayaan-2 orbiter continues to provide valuable data from the moon. Gaganyaan is India's first indigenous human spaceflight mission. Several key crew escape, parachute, and safety tests have been successfully completed for the mission. Now, if we talk about the world of technology, the India Semiconductor Mission has emerged as the strongest foundation of India's digital self-reliance. The India Semiconductor Mission was launched in December 2021. The government announced an incentive package worth 76,000 crore rupees for the sector. Investments exceeding 1.6 lakh crore rupees have been approved under the mission. 10 major semiconductor projects are currently being deployed across the country. India aims to significantly increase domestic chip manufacturing capabilities. Along with this, thousands of engineers are being trained through the CHIPS to Startup program, AICTE semiconductor courses, and NIELIT labs. This has laid the foundation for the semiconductor ecosystem, which appears set to realize the dream of a strong, sustainable, and self-reliant India in the years to come. India has also made a major leap in the field of artificial intelligence, or AI. The India AI mission was launched in March 2024. The mission has been allocated a budget of nearly 10,372 crore rupees. More than 38,000 GPUs have been made available for researchers and startups. India is developing indigenous AI models through selected companies and institutions. The AI Coach platform is strengthening the country's AI ecosystem with datasets and AI models. Recently, the India AI Impact Summit 2026, held in February, proved to be historic, and the world appreciated India's AI models. In addition, the government is also developing AI applications for sectors such as healthcare, agriculture, cybersecurity, and education. This is why AI is no longer only the domain of foreign companies. India too is rapidly securing its place in the global AI race. Apart from this, in the last few years, India has also made rapid progress in several areas.
अब समय है कि हम इमर्जिंग एरियाज में दो गुनी ऊर्जा से काम करें। ये विकसित भारत के हमारे लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति के लिए भी बहुत अहम है।
India is advancing research and innovation through the National Quantum Mission. The country has witnessed one of the world's fastest 5G network expansions. India has become the world's largest digital payments ecosystem. Significant progress has been achieved in drone technology and biotechnology. The Deep Ocean mission is strengthening India's capabilities in future scientific research. Programs such as the National Quantum Mission and the Deep Ocean Mission reflect India's strong preparation in future technologies. At last but not the least, over the last 12 years, India has not merely progressed in the field of science and technology, it has created a new identity for itself. From the moon to chip manufacturing, from artificial intelligence to quantum computing, India is moving steadily towards leadership in the technologies of the future. This is why today's India is emerging before the world not only as a digital India, but also as a scientific India and an innovative India. Bureau Report, DD India.
And as Prime Minister Modi creates history by becoming the longest continuously serving Prime Minister of India, a coffee table book, stamps, coins and banknotes issued during the premiership of Prime Minister Modi chronicles India's transformative journey under his leadership through a unique collection of stamps, coins and currency notes. It has been launched, published by Mintage World. The 200-page book highlights major national initiatives.
This book is giving the information about his work, whatever he has done for country, and whatever work he has done for the country, and whatever stamps and coins, notes are released for on those occasions. So this is the entirely one collective coffee book, where all this information you will get in one book.
The 13th BRICS Urbanization Forum commenced in New Delhi today, bringing together housing ministers, urban planners and policy experts from across the bloc to address the mounting pressures of rapid population growth in Global South. Held under India's 2026 BRICS chairship, the high-level multilateral event centers on the theme Cities for People, BRICS Cooperation for Inclusive and Resilient Urban Futures. Over the course of two-day forum, the delegates will discuss critical pathways to build climate-resilient infrastructure, enhance municipal financial systems, and deploy digital public infrastructure to streamline civic governance.
We see rapid urbanization as an opportunity for innovation, infrastructure, and investment, one that is enabled by a strong and progressive policy environment. Our urban realities may not be identical, but our aspirations, however, are deeply connected. The themes of this forum, Cities for People, BRICS Cooperation for Inclusive and Resilient Urban Futures, reflects that shared goal. Over the next 2 days, we will examine these themes through closely connected priority areas.
Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav inaugurated the Makers Lab at the Malviya National Institute of Technology in Jaipur. The minister also interacted with the institute's professors and held a dialogue session with students. Vaishnav said that millions of jobs are expected to be created globally in the fields of semiconductors and artificial intelligence. Speaking about developments in the railway sector, the minister said that the railway stations across Rajasthan are being upgraded with world-class infrastructure.
आज हम AI पे हैं, आगे AI के बाद में नेक्स्ट जो वेव आएगी, बड़ी वेव, that will be quantum. उसमें हमको तैयारी करनी है. That's why it's very important that we start understanding what quantum is. And I would like MNIT to take that lead in Rajasthan to be the major quantum learning, quantum teaching, quantum experiencing college in the country.
Yoga for Healthy Aging is the theme for International Day of Yoga 2026. With populations aging across the globe, yoga is increasingly being recognized as a simple and holistic way to promote physical, mental and emotional well-being. Here's a look at how this ancient practice is helping people add life to years. Maido, my colleague, reports.
As the world prepares to celebrate International Day of Yoga 2026, the spotlight this year is on a theme that speaks to people of all ages: yoga for healthy aging. At a time when life expectancy is rising across the world, the focus is not just on living longer, but on living healthier, more active, and more fulfilling lives. With populations aging rapidly in many countries, the conversation is shifting from adding years to life to adding life to years. Healthy aging is about maintaining physical health, mental well being, and independence, enabling people to continue doing the things they value most. Experts say yoga offers a simple yet holistic pathway towards this goal, combining physical postures, breathing techniques, meditation, and mindfulness. Yoga can help improve flexibility, balance, strength, and emotional resilience, supporting well being at every stage of life. The benefits of yoga for healthy aging are also drawing growing attention from the scientific community. According to available research data, publications on yoga for healthy aging have risen steadily over the years. While 183 research papers were published on the subject in 2014, the number increased to 1,207 by 2025, highlighting growing academic interest in yoga's potential to support healthy aging. The theme also aligns with the growing focus on senior wellness and elder care. In India, initiatives promoting active aging, healthcare innovation, and wellness services are creating new opportunities to support the needs of an aging population. As International Day of Yoga 2026 approaches, the message is both simple and timely. Aging is a natural part of life, and yoga offers a way to navigate that journey with strength, balance, and dignity. Through a practice rooted in ancient wisdom, millions continue to discover healthier and more meaningful ways of living. Maidol's report for DD India.
Time for us to slip into a very short break. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away. Two Chinese Uyghur men were sentenced to death on Thursday for carrying out an attack on a Bangkok shrine in 2015 that killed 20 people. The 2015 blast tore apart the Erawan shrine where worshippers and tourists had gathered, wounding more than 100 people and leaving the shrine littered with motorbike fragments and sink debris. According to the court statement, the actions of both defendants constitute multiple separate offences, adding that the sentence included punishment for charge of premeditated murder, which resulted in a death penalty. And Germany could be heading towards a recession as energy prices shock linked to Iran war puts pressure on economic growth. That's according to a leading German economic research institute. For more on that, I'm joined by DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. Hi Chiponda, what are the latest expectations for the German economy?
Economists at the German Institute for Economic Research here in Berlin have halved their growth forecast for 2026 to 0.5% from 1%. And that is because economic output is likely to shrink slightly in the spring and summer quarters, so the second and third quarter of this year, because of the energy price shock, and that would result in a technical recession. Now, it is worth noting that Germany's economy hasn't grown steadily since 2019. The country has been navigating multiple shocks since the COVID-19 pandemic, and the fact that it relies heavily on exports does mean that it is especially vulnerable to global uncertainty. So if the global macroeconomic environment worsens, Germany's economy could shrink also by as much as 0.5% in 2026. And a lot of that will depend on how long the Iran war lasts. This is, of course, just the latest downgrade for the German economy. The gloomy prospects of Europe's industrial powerhouse are definitely one thing that economists seem to be agreeing on.
Okay. And how is the German government responding to these economic challenges?
Well, the government is struggling to come up with a response, and that is because the parties in the ruling coalition of conservatives and social democrats are facing pressure to deliver what are sometimes very different promises to voters. So the readiness to compromise on policy and reform isn't that high. And while economists have been able to agree on the fact that Germany's economic prospects don't look great, they do not agree on which type of reform needs to happen first for the country to jumpstart the economy. Now, the economists at the German Institute for Economic Research would like to see more support for low earners to help spur their buying power as inflation bites. And others have been calling for reform to help businesses remain competitive globally. And of course, there are also calls to reform the pension and healthcare systems. But politicians have been putting up most of the reform for fear of a voter backlash.
And finally, Chimboda, is there any sign of relief or light at the end of the tunnel?
Probably not, unless, of course, Germany wins the World Cup, for instance. Now, according to the economic think tank, the IFO Institute, the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup, could have a lasting positive effect on Germany's economy if the country's national team were to win the football championship. And there's also another survey by the Nuremberg Institute for Market Decisions, and that one shows that Germans may be willing to spend more the deeper the country's national team goes into the championship. People here could, of course, use some good news to boost consumer sentiment and the overall mood in the country. Now, the IFO Institute bases its conclusion on research that shows that countries that have won the World Cup do actually experience an economic growth spurt. But that's not the case for the runner-up team. So the German team does need to win that trophy if its participation in the World Cup is to add some growth to the country's struggling economy and lift spirits among Germans who haven't had too much to cheer about economically lately.
All right. We leave it there. Thank you very much, Chiponda Chembelu, for joining us on that story from Berlin. You're watching DD India NewsHour. Time for some sports news now. The FIFA World Cup 2026 will begin on Thursday night, marking the start of the mega edition of football's biggest tournament. The opening match will be played between host Mexico and South Africa at the Mexico City Stadium. The World Cup will feature 48 teams and a total of 104 matches hosted across 3 countries, that's the United States, Canada and Mexico. Teams are divided into 12 groups of 4. The top 2 teams from each group, along with the 8 best third-place teams, will move to round of 32. From there, the tournament will follow a knockout format until the final, which will be played at the New Jersey Stadium in New York. South Africa coach Hugo Broos said that his side is prepared to face Mexico's quality and home court crowd advantage in Thursday's World Cup opener, insisting they are ready to fight for every ball against the group's strongest team. South Africa are in Group A with Mexico and Czech Republic and South Korea And Bruce said that the opening match could be decisive for their hopes of reaching the next round. For South Africa, the fixture carries its own echoes. They opened the 2010 World Cup against Mexico in Johannesburg, drawing 1-1. The hosts face South Africa on Thursday, still seeking their first victory in the World Cup opening match after 7 previous attempts. Bruce also played for Belgium at the 1986 World Cup, where they faced Mexico in the group stage and went on to finish 4th. FIFA President Gianni Infantino defended the way a soccer governing body has handled visa issues ahead of the World Cup. Infantino said that the organization was working to find solutions but could not override the government decisions. FIFA chief addressed concerns surrounding Somali referee Omar Abdul Qadir Artan, who was barred from entering the US despite having a valid visa. The case has drawn attention to immigration challenges ahead of the June 11th to July 19th tournament after US authorities said that Artan was denied entry because of his links to suspected members of terrorist organizations. Infantino said that FIFA was continuing to work behind the scenes to resolve outstanding issues, but stressed that the immigration decisions ultimately rested with national authorities. And that's all in this edition of DD India NewsHour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR codes that you see on your screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amrit Pal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India NewsHour.